How long should a muscle building phase last, and how much muscle should you expect to gain? One change in the fitness industry that I am so happy to have observed over the past couple of years is the shift in focus for women from only ever wanting to lose weight towards wanting to focus on muscle growth. So for most women, an intentional muscle building phase or a gaining phase is a completely and uncharted territory, and most of the time they're not entirely sure how to navigate this process. So today I wanted to take a few moments to outline what a muscle building approach might look like for anyone considering entering into one, and to help you set some more realistic expectations. Now, this is especially important as what you often see on social media is not always represented truthfully, or it has occurred over a lifetime of training. So, what do you need to know? Well, building muscle takes a really long time. So, unlike a fat loss phase, depending on the amount of body fat that you want to lose and the rate at which you're comfortable losing it, it can be just a few short weeks, whereas each muscle building phase will likely take you several months. In fact, I typically recommend that my clients allow their total body weight to increase by a measure of 3 to 5% during a gaining phase, though more muscle may be gained if they are comfortable with a 5 to 7% increase over a 24-week time frame. So for example, this would mean that a 140-pound female would gain a minimum of 4.2 pounds, or if they're wanting to maximize their muscle growth during this time period, perhaps 9.8 pounds and a slightly higher calorie surplus is needed. As for the rate of weight gain, this is determined by what you feel most comfortable with. However, I recommend getting comfortable with the idea of gaining at the rate of around 0.8 to 1.2% of your total body weight per month. So how much muscle can you gain naturally? Now, this is probably the most hotly debated topic in regards to muscle building, and is dependent predominantly on your training age and how close to your genetic potential you are. So, if you are brand new to resistance training, the theoretical amount of muscle mass that you can gain will be higher than for somebody who has been lifting for many years. So, if this is your first time embarking on a muscle building phase, you have real potential here. So make sure that you're following an evidence-based approach to both your diet and exercise, as a greater percentage of the weight gain is likely to be muscle mass compared to an individual experienced in resistance training. So as you approach your genetic ceiling, however, your rate of muscle gain tends to slow down and building muscle becomes a lot more difficult. So it takes more time and more effort to achieve significant muscle growth. In fact, the idea of muscle growth being limited to a finite amount is also rooted in logic. It would not benefit human longevity to endlessly seek more and more muscle gain. In a sense, having limits on muscle growth may serve as a protective mechanism from an evolutionary sense, as acquiring excessive amounts of muscle tissue would be very energetically costly. Now, in terms of growth, research often reports muscle growth in terms of muscle thickness, and this represents the thickness of the muscle from the muscle-bone interface. So basically, this is where the muscle meets the bone to where the muscle and the fat intersect. Now, in untrained individuals, it seems that muscle growth occurs in the magnitude of 0.2 centimeters over an 8 to 12 week time period, and this is seen in both men and women. Now, given this is the average, we can also expect to see some individuals gaining a little more than 0.2 centimeters, while others may gain a little bit less. Now, if we consider the average thickness of the bicep, and this is between 2 and 4 centimeters, this would represent a 4 to 8% increase in muscle thickness over an 8-week time period. And we see similar findings in the lower body of untrained subjects. It appears that even with highly focused training, even previously resistance trained individuals are still capable of additional muscle growth, which is great news for anybody reading who, like me, has been training for over a decade. The current body of research shows that on average, we can expect to see around 0.1 to 0.3 of additional muscle thickness in both the lower and upper body over an 8 to 12 week study period. Now, you might be wondering what this might look like in terms of pounds or kilograms. So if we turn to the current research, we can expect to see a 1 to 2 kilogram or a 3 to 4% increase in lean body mass over a slightly longer time frame of 8 to 20 weeks. However, the magnitude of change will likely depend on a number of different factors. Furthermore, there are a number of outliers at play, such as those who are genetically gifted or those individuals who are able to consistently execute a highly focused resistance training program and proper diet. In these circumstances, we may see slightly larger changes in muscle size. So, do you need to change your training when entering into a muscle building phase? The answer is no, not necessarily. You'll certainly have more energy in your training sessions due to having an increased caloric intake. So you may find that you're able to push harder in the gym when you're training at higher intensities. For example, you may notice that you're able to lift a significantly heavier weight during muscle gaining phases, and your recovery is notably faster. However, unless the muscle groups you are wanting to grow have changed, then you do not necessarily have to change the type of training that you're doing. So, my parting thoughts. A muscle building or gaining phase can be an extremely enjoyable and rewarding experience because as well as eating a greater volume of food than you'll be used to, your training progression will likely be the fastest that it's ever been. In fact, it is common to set PRs in every single exercise and sometimes every session when we're in a muscle building phase. But at the same time, it can be challenging and uncomfortable, especially if it's the first time in your life that you've not actively been in a calorie deficit. So I would recommend for anyone watching this video to consider entering into a muscle building phase and follow these 3 general guidelines. Start by giving yourself a minimum of 12 to 16 weeks duration for your muscle building phase. Set your initial calorie surplus between 200 and 500 calories per day above your current maintenance calories. Stay consistent with your resistance training and aim for between 3 to 5 resistance training sessions per week. And if the idea of a muscle building phase interests you, but you want to maximize the amount of muscle mass gained and minimize the amount of body fat gained during this phase, I would highly recommend considering working with one of my team members. On top of your personalized evidence-based resistance training program and diet plan, you'll also receive weekly support and feedback from your coach, so you never need to worry about not doing the right thing or that you're not maximizing your progress. And guys, if you'd like more information or resources just like these, please take a look in the description below. It'll have all the links to my website, my coaching team, and all of our products and services. Thanks guys, I'll see you next time.